You wake up to the buzz again, this time with new details that change the shape of the story. The same Tesla, the same name, but now with a longer timeline. Celeste's remains were in that car for weeks before anyone realized. You picture how the body sat hidden, abandoned, and how the delay complicates everything. Decomposition makes the forensic work harder, the chain of custody murkier, memories unreliable. It isn't just the discovery anymore, it's a mystery that's been simmering in silence. As investigators dig deeper, they serve search warrants at a house tied to D4vd, retrieving electronics, computers, phones, everything that might hold a trace. You imagine the tension in those rooms, agents moving carefully, flashing lights, seized hard drives. You think about what's inside, deleted messages, hidden folders, metadata, each bit possibly undoing or rescuing a narrative. The case has shifted from shocking to procedural, each motion deliberate, each piece of evidence medically critical. Meanwhile, the human element keeps pressing in. Celeste had been reported missing 3 times in 2024. You feel that weight. Her name was already in reports before this tragedy. It adds nuance you didn't have before. She wasn't just an unknown passenger, but someone whose absence resonated before. You wonder who heard her story before the body was discovered. How many pleas might have been ignored? Public response sharpens. People revisit his lyrics, his social media posts, his deleted content. The matching tattoo still stares back at you. Shh. Growing more symbolic than ever. Collaborators and brands quietly back away. Tour dates remain canceled. You can see the industry readjusting, cautiously distancing itself. In the murmur of speculation, you sense fear. Even the possibility of association now feels like liability. And in the cracks of this evolving case, you wonder what's next. Will forensics produce a smoking gun, or will ambiguity linger? Will someone speak? Him, his team, or someone from inside that house with the seized electronics? Right now, what's changed is that the past stretches longer. The questions grow sharper, and silence feels heavier than ever. You scroll again, and this time the updates take you closer to the family. Celeste's body has finally been released back to them. It's no longer only an evidence file or a headline. It's a daughter, a sister, laid to rest. You picture the weight of that funeral, the cameras outside, the whispers inside. The family had been waiting in agony, not only for answers, but simply for the chance to say goodbye. Now, closure comes with more questions than comfort. You replay the fact that she had been missing multiple times before. 3 separate reports in 2024, each one a flare sent up into the night. You can't ignore what that means. The warnings were there. Systems flagged her disappearance, but somehow the trail kept going cold until it ended here. That detail reshapes the narrative. You're not just looking at a tragic discovery, you're staring at a pattern of absence, and the way it intersects with D4vd's world feels unavoidable. In another corner, the investigators' haul from the searched property looms large. Phones, computers, hard drives, each one locked with layers of encryption or secrets. You picture the analysts scrolling through endless chats, searching for fragments, late-night calls, messages unsent, maybe something that ties the story together. Evidence doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers, and you're left waiting to hear what it says. Meanwhile, his public life continues collapsing. Tour dates erased, brand deals paused, an album pushed aside. The silence from his camp grows louder each day, as if speaking now might only make the gravity worse. His fans, once flooding comment sections with heart emojis, now flood them with suspicion, analysis, grief. Even his old lyrics are pulled apart line by line, fans twisting them into confessions he never gave aloud. And in all of this, you feel the ground shift. What once felt like a singular shocking event now unfolds as a layered tragedy. A girl known to be vulnerable, a star entangled in ways no one can unsee, and a public forced to watch as private grief collides with criminal procedure. Each revelation leaves you with the same uneasy thought. You're still only hearing half the story. The pieces keep stacking, and this time the timeline pushes you further back. December 2024, reports suggest that's when the relationship between Celeste and D4vd fractured. A breakup, quiet at first, then followed by a purge. By January 2025, his Instagram feed was scrubbed clean of her images, as if erasing her was the only way forward. You can almost see the cursor hovering over delete, each tap not just removing a photo, but rewriting a narrative. But absence doesn't stay silent for long. Accounts emerge claiming she was trying to reach him afterward. Drunk, distraught, calling over and over. It paints a picture not of distance, but of obsession or desperation. And when you layer that against what's now known, the timeline takes on an eerie weight. The breakup, the disappearance, the weeks in the trunk. Each event starts to feel less isolated and more like chapters of the same story. For investigators, the personal merges with the forensic. The deleted posts might be nothing, or they might be motive, context, or proof of intent. His devices, now in evidence bags, could hold drafts of messages, fragments of photos, metadata tied to those same deleted memories. You can almost hear the clicking of keyboards in the lab, each search query aiming to bridge the gap between public image and private truth. Outside of police files, the public circles back to symbols. That tattoo, burns brighter in their minds. Was it a coincidence or a shared mark of something darker? Fans pick through old lyrics, resurfacing lines about heartbreak, loss, even death. Theories stretch across forums and comment sections, each one blurring fact and speculation. And through it all, silence persists. He hasn't spoken. No statement, no denial, no morning post, just a hollowed-out social media page where his life once played out. You find yourself staring at that silence, feeling it grow heavier, wondering if the absence of words is itself an answer. The case tightens as investigators follow the paper trail, and suddenly what felt abstract becomes physical. A search warrant executed at a property tied to D4vd uncovers electronics, hard drives, and personal devices. You picture officers carrying them out in evidence bags, each item glowing with unspoken potential. To outsiders, they look like ordinary objects, but you know inside them are fragments of lives, chats unsent, deleted photos, phone calls at odd hours. For forensic teams, it's a goldmine. Every click, swipe, and keystroke can tell a story. Meanwhile, the timeline stretches into something more unsettling. Authorities now say Celeste had been dead for several weeks before her body was found in the Tesla. You stop and let that sink in. Weeks. The car, unmoving, parked with a story hidden inside it, while life above ground continued as normal. That detail shifts the case from shock to horror. Someone knew, or should have known, and yet the silence lasted until discovery forced the truth into daylight. Her history of going missing adds another crack to the picture. 3 reports in 2024 alone, each one documented, each one closed without resolution. The repetition suggests vulnerability, instability, and a system that couldn't hold her in place. Now, that pattern forms the backdrop of the case, raising the question of whether this ending was inevitable or preventable. Public response swells with these details. Fans who once defended him now hesitate. Forums ignite with theories, picking apart timelines, lyrics, even facial expressions in old interviews. Industry partners don't wait for verdicts. Tours canceled, campaigns shelved, collaborations pulled. The weight of association becomes too heavy, and the silence from his side becomes a vacuum others rush to fill. You sit with it all, realizing the story is no longer about a single event. It's about time. Time lost, time hidden, time erased, weeks in a trunk, months of missing reports, years of music that now sound like warnings. And in that accumulation, the case feels less like it's unfolding and more like it's circling, pulling you deeper into unanswered questions. The fallout spreads further, and this time it hits the stage. His US tour, dates once plastered across posters, countdowns shared by fans, is gone. Canceled in one sweep, erased from ticket sites, venues left silent. For the fans who bought passes months ago, the shock isn't just about refunds, it's about the realization that their artist isn't coming back. Not now, maybe not ever. What was supposed to be a celebration of music now feels like a ghost of plans that will never play out. The cancellations don't stop there. The deluxe edition of his album Withered, teased with excitement, is shelved. Promotional campaigns vanish. Partnerships that once boosted his profile, Crocs, Hollister, fall away, distancing themselves as though the association itself is toxic. You notice the speed of it. Companies don't wait for trials. They read the headlines and make the cut. Silence is protection, and business doesn't gamble on scandal. On social media, the narrative shifts. Where fans once posted clips of sold-out crowds, they now circulate screenshots of deleted posts, archived photos, and lyrics that feel sinister in hindsight. The music itself is turned against him, dissected like evidence. Every word, every symbol becomes fuel for speculation. Even his subreddit, once a haven for fans, locks down after accusations of censorship. Threads vanish, people whisper that he was moderating it himself. The trust between artist and audience collapses in real time, and hovering above all of it is the family. Celeste's name grows louder, her story replacing his in the headlines. The tragedy takes center stage, and the career that once seemed unstoppable shrinks into silence. You realize how fast it happens, how fame flips when the spotlight turns harsh, how quickly applause is replaced by suspicion. You feel the momentum building, a career unraveling in public view, while investigators quietly sift through hard drives in the background. The music has stopped, and all that's left is the echo of questions nobody is answering. The story bends again, this time toward the lyrics. Fans don't just stream his songs anymore, they dissect them. Old tracks, unreleased snippets, even demos are pulled apart line by line. Words that once sounded like heartbreak now read like confession. Lines about loss, silence, or disappearing feel like signals people missed. A verse written years ago resurfaces, and you watch as timelines blur. Did the music foreshadow the headlines, or is the audience forcing meaning where there was none? The scrutiny spreads beyond the songs. That tattoo, the word shh, inked onto the index finger, becomes an emblem in itself. It's not just a piece of art anymore. It's reinterpreted as a symbol of secrecy, of complicity, of things unsaid. The coincidence of him and Celeste sharing the same mark ignites threads across forums. Some argue it's nothing, others insist it's everything. In a case built on silence, the smallest symbols become loudest. But this isn't just fandom speculation. It's part of a larger public trial playing out online. The subreddit tied to his name locks down. Accusations of censorship flying. Users claim posts critical of him or too close to the investigation were deleted. Some point out he was once listed as a moderator there. It feeds a narrative of control, of voices being silenced in the same way questions are ignored in real life. The industry doesn't need proof to act, it just needs suspicion. The music videos that once dominated playlists stall in rotation. Collaborations vanish. Even casual mentions of his name are cut from brand campaigns. You see how quickly a star becomes radioactive, how silence from him amplifies every rumor. And in the middle of it all, the question lingers. Is the art revealing the truth, or is the truth being written onto the art? The line between artist and evidence blurs, and you're left staring at lyrics that now feel heavier, as if every word carries a secret waiting to be decoded. It circles back to the silence, but now the silence feels strategic. No statements, no interviews, not even a post acknowledging the chaos. His socials remain scrubbed, a hollow feed where fans once saw glimpses of his life. You scroll and see nothing, and the absence itself becomes a statement. Was it fear, guilt, or advice from lawyers? Nobody knows, and the void only fuels speculation. Meanwhile, the family's grief grows louder. With Celeste finally laid to rest, her story takes center stage. Vigils, memorials, online tributes. Her name becomes the one repeated in headlines, while his fades into shadow. It's a shift you can feel, the world's focus moving away from his career and onto her loss. The narrative no longer belongs to him, it belongs to her. For investigators, the process continues quietly. Those seized devices sit in labs, each one being combed for hidden fragments, deleted texts, voice notes, private exchanges. You picture analysts piecing together a mosaic, trying to close the gaps between timeline and truth. The idea that answers might already exist, just waiting inside a hard drive, makes the uncertainty sharper. Around him, the industry stays frozen. No shows, no campaigns, no promotions. The business of music has already moved on, leaving only unanswered questions in its place. For a star once rising fast, the drop feels absolute, and still, he doesn't speak. You realize the story isn't closing, it's lingering. Every detail that emerges stretches the timeline further, making the past harder to ignore. Weeks in a trunk, months of silence, years of lyrics that now sound like riddles. You're left suspended in the waiting, caught between grief for a girl, suspicion toward a star, and the uneasy knowledge that silence may be the only answer you ever get.